Hello, friends. So, I was just today, as I was going through my day, I just felt like the Lord was telling me what to share next on my YouTube. And that was the start of my testimony growing up. So, I decided to come here and start with that, give it a start. So, excuse me. I still have a cough, so I might cough a couple times. But um, I'm just gonna start when I was growing up, what I remember, and yeah, highlights of my growing up. Maybe some struggles I faced. Um, so honestly, I had a very good home life. In reality, there was still things that I probably, I had to work through things still when I grew up. I know my parents did their very best in training us, raising us, and I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for them. Um, but yeah, as a very little girl, I still remember so vividly a lot of things that we used to do. And that was anywhere from playing with very simple toys in our living room and being entertained for hours with them. Um, I just remember doing that. I remember my mom. I know my parents had a lot of tough times when we were small and in making ends meet. And so mom actually sewed for a lady, a quilt shop, and she made table runners, pot holders, quite a few different things. And we could actually kind of help with that. As she would sew, we would um, snip the pieces apart and snip the threads, turn the squares inside out, and stuff like that. Stuff that we could do. But there's one thing that stands out to me from here. So she did that to help make ends meet. Right now, my journey looks a little bit different, but I'm doing something as well to try and help make ends meet. Our children are young right now, and right now, the cost of living has gone up so much in the past few years. It is really, really hard for us to make it on one income, and with Willis being in school still. So we're working on a couple different things and trying our best, but going on from where I was saying that mom used to do table runners and pot holders and stuff. We love to help her. Sometimes it got kind of tiresome for us, but honestly, I grew up hauling manure out of the barn, which I love doing. I absolutely loved it. As long as I was at home, I remember hauling manure out of the barn with a wheelbarrow and a pitchfork and spreading it in the pasture. So, but probably we did that because we didn't have brothers. There was only 4 of us girls. So us girls loved just being in the barn. We loved, as gross as this might sound to you, we loved manuring out the barn barefooted. Like, we just did. It was just something that we loved doing. And so I just remember so many of those happy times growing up. We had a pond, our neighbors had a pond, I guess, basically in our backyard, and we'd go back there and do fishing and stuff like that. In the winter, we'd go skating, and I do remember the one winter. I was old enough to have skates, and we had a pair that I could wear. I believe I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and it was a pair of figure skates, white figure skates. And I could only get like 1 or 2 pairs of socks on my feet. And we went skating for the whole evening. And when I put my skates out, I realized that I couldn't even feel my toes. Like, I could not feel anything. And I put my boots on and went home. And well, if you've ever experienced this, you know how it feels. It is dreadfully painful when these toes start warming up. And they were swollen to like twice their size. I had huge toes. And for sure once they were swollen. But anyhow, it hurts so bad when those things warmed up. And I actually couldn't wear my boots the next day because they were so swollen. And I just remember that pain, but also more things that I remember so vividly, like standing inside our windows and watching it snow as a little girl. And one thing that we did, another highlight that we did every year growing up, I tell you what, my daddy did not miss a year of doing this. Except when I think I might have been 4 years old. But from the time I was 4 years old until I got married, we did not miss a single year in going fishing for a whole week. And there was a couple years that we went twice, and it was so fun. We had so much fun. It created so many good family memories for us. And here's just a couple places that we were. We were in Kentucky, I think 2 or 3 times. We were in Canada. I'm not sure how often. Like, we went to Canada quite a few years. New York. We were a couple years. It was, yeah, we had like a 10 to 12 hour drive wherever we went. So it wasn't often that it was closer than that. And most times, Dad would rent a boat from someone and we'd load the boat in the van. And a couple times we actually took friends along that just stayed in another cabin, and for splitting the trip and everything. So we had lots and lots of fun. And I remember growing up, Dad actually attempted at, I think, 2 different businesses before he started the upholstery business. And we started in our basement at home. We started with the upholstery business. And I remember the first piece of furniture that we reupholstered was our own sofa in the living room. And we started with small tools, tools that weren't actually made to do what we were doing, but it worked. And I was just I've been so amazed. I've been really amazed. Just looking back and seeing where we started with that business. And Dad had always talked about how he wants to have a business up and running by the time us girls get out of school, so we don't have to go work away. That was one thing that he always, he really wanted us to be able to work at home. He didn't want us to have to go work in somebody else's shop or somebody else's business. So I think simply just for the fact of our family staying together and stuff. So by the time we got out of school, he had the upholstery business up and running, very successful business. And I think highly of my dad, of how hard he worked. I remember how many hours he put in trying to get a business up and running that us girls could help. And I clearly remember when we put an addition to the shop. We started in quite a small area actually in the shop with our upholstery business when we moved it out there. And but it worked, and gradually it grew, and we added a large piece to the back of the smaller shop, and it was amazing. It was quite amazing, guys. We, as soon as I got out of school, the summers leading up to coming out of school, we worked in that shop. And I remember thinking sometimes how nice it would be to be working for someone else once, just the experience. But I also now realize where my dad was coming from, why he just wanted to have our family be able to all work together and create strong relationships. And so my oldest sister did teach school for a couple years. She, soon after I had started in the shop, she got an offer from a school to teach school, and she accepted. Dad was like, hey, if you want to go teach school, that's okay, like we can make it. And since I just gotten out of school and I could help then, so she taught school for a couple years. I do not have many not so good memories from growing up. Like basically all my memories were actually really good memories from home. And there was a couple things, and my heart always goes out to people that have struggled with this as well. And sometimes I wonder if it was the fact that I didn't have any brothers and going to school was really hard for me. I really struggled to connect with a lot of the other girls in our school. And I was also very determined, and I just tried harder to be a good friend to a couple of the girls, and I was just I felt really rejected, and my younger sister as well. So my heart really goes out to people that also struggle with that. I was not a very outspoken young girl at that age. I was actually very bashful and didn't speak much at all. And so when something happened and I get backed in a corner, and with questions, I just had a hard time speaking and actually seeing how it is. And yeah, but just putting all that aside, I have actually, since coming out of school, I worked at home, like I said, in our upholstery shop. I enjoyed it for the most part. It was good times for us. And we worked hard, but we also had the opportunity, because we were at home, working at home, we also had the opportunity of often taking care of our special needs cousins. And our family was pretty much the only ones that knew them well enough that for their medications and everything that they had to take. Um, we were often the only ones that knew them well enough that we knew what they needed and stuff because they couldn't talk, couldn't sit. Um, so those were good memories for me. I enjoyed that very much. I enjoyed taking care of them. Many times when we were working in the shop, um, we still had a phone house, halfway out the lane, and we often didn't get the messages right away. So many times in the forenoon or afternoon, when a van would drive in the lane and they'd be like, "Hey, we're going shopping today. Could you watch, you know, the girls?" And we were like, "Oh, absolutely. There's not a reason that we can't." I mean, we were just at home anyway, and it was so much fun for us. And it taught us something. It taught us to do things without the expectation of return. And that was really good for us. To simply being taught the value of doing something and not expecting anything. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for the experience of, well, we were in like sixth, seventh grade, something like that. Me and my sister, I probably did this for 3 or 4 years straight. That we take the bicycle once or twice a week and go to my aunt's house and mow their lawn, weed their flower beds, because she wasn't able to do it. She had disabilities from cancer, and that was just the start of it. Sometimes it was really hard because we work really hard when we went, and just we learned at an early age how to do the housework and do it right, and to also mow lawn, weed eat, whatever it took. That was just something that my mom did very well in teaching us, how to do housework right, how to how to cook, how to all that stuff. And so being we were working in the shop at home, usually about okay, so I worked in the shop until 2 months, 3 months maybe, before we got married. So, and I was the manager at the shop at that time. So I did have a lot on my plate. In the meantime, about the time, let's see, that I got out of school, Dad always had a passion for health things, like learning how things worked health wise, because he struggled with so many allergies growing up. When I was growing up, small things. We're talking goldenrod blooming. We were not allowed to bring wildflowers into the house, or he would get serious. He would sneeze and sneeze and sneeze, and his eyes would swell up, and like that, he almost couldn't look out of them, and his nose would just be a thick roller, like down the sides of his nose. And that was always really hard for me to see him like that, because it just is. Seeing a parent like that is not fun. And we, at a young age, we started with taking standard process. We had a guy that came out every month, and he'd assess everything. Like if someone needed to be checked out, he checked the person out and gave the supplements that we needed. So I remember doing that until we were out of school and Dad started to actually dig into it himself, and he started researching into becoming a natural practitioner, and what he had to do. And what he actually had to do is he did have to have his college degree. So he did his college course at home. Over the course of 2 years, he did like 3 or 4 years worth of college. So he was very, very busy studying a lot of the time. And because he had to get all his tests sent in a certain time. So he was working on that one by the time I was out of school. I believe between the age of 14 and 16 for me, probably. And then he started seeing people about their health problems and stuff. So he began seeing people in our shop at home while the upholstery business was still going. He had his own office at the front of the building, and we were working in the back of the building, upholstery stuff. So I think at about 16, maybe. I think around 16, he moved, 16 to 18 years old. He moved to, we moved the upholstery business to a new shop. Maybe, I don't know, a quarter mile up the road, maybe not even that. And I walk up there. It was real good exercise. And over the time between 14 and 16, I gained so much weight. It was the weight basically of, often at the age between 10 and 16, there's people that just tend to gain a lot of weight in that age, where the body changes and everything changes. And yeah, so I came to the age of 16. I remember we moved the shop to the upholstery business to a new shop. At the time, my two older sisters were 18 and 17. I was 16. My oldest sister might have been 19 at the time. But anyhow, that was really good for me because I started taking walks, and I started running, and I'd often, at the most I was running like 2 miles each evening. And I lost major weight, like 50 pounds then. But I'm someone that I struggle with weight loss. I struggle to be able to lose weight. And so many people told me over the years, and I really struggled with having a good view at myself at that age, because honestly, to me, there weren't many girls that struggled with weight issues like I did. And many of the other girls were thin and trim, and it just kind of felt like I couldn't quite measure up to that. And so I honestly, it was a struggle for me to look at myself in a way that wasn't degrading to myself, actually. And at 16, I joined the youth. And we had a lot of youth functions. I'm just going to be honest here. We went with the singing youth. There were singings almost every Sunday night. I never was at a party. And not that I'm running people down that have been to parties or anything, But I am grateful that my dad did not, like, that he really talked with us. They really talked with us about that. We knew that they didn't want us to do that. And we also wanted to please them, but I am grateful that they stood up for us on that and did not give in easily on that end. We did go camping quite often, and we weren't always the greatest people, okay? But, yeah, we went to singings almost every Sunday night. I know some of the young folks would look at us and say, oh, like more of the, oh, so you're one of the more goody people, and that didn't feel good. But I do want to say this, that I honestly never looked at them and thought, you're just being so rebellious. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't, like, yeah, sometimes I wish to have a little bit more of a looser range of things to do. But I look back and I know that Mom and Dad were only trying to protect us and take care of us and make that we don't have decisions that we're going to regret in later life. So at age 18, I believe, my sister got married. And starting at the age of 16, guys, I don't know if you know how it was with the young folks back then, but that would have been like, let's see, 18, now I'm 34, so 16 years ago, or let's say 18 years ago, age 16, when we started joining the youth and stuff, a lot of teasing went on. And guys, it was not fun, okay? We, at the age of 16, both Willis and myself started getting teased about each other. And we didn't know that the other one was being teased, but after, whatever, when we started dating, we find out that, oh, so both of us have been teased about each other since we were 16 years old. And something lies heavy on my heart about that, and I want to speak about it a little bit, because the tough times that it put my young adult mind into was just uncalled for. At that age, it's really hard to not set your mind on a person when you're being teased about a person all the time. Like, when I say all the time, often daily, always, weekends, all the time. It's very hard to not in your mind be thinking, okay, nobody dare find out that I even like this person. But in reality, I did really, really, really like him. I really, was at the age where I looked up to him, and I was really a shy person. I did not speak to boys a lot because that's just something, I didn't grow up with that, and I didn't speak much to boys. So at the age of 18, when my sister got married, I was asked. So Willis was a good friend of my sister's then husband. They are still married, by the way. But her new husband. So and first husband. I should actually make this clear, okay? Um, so they asked me to be bridal table server with Willis. And we were not dating at the time, but I said, yes, I will do that. And I knew that it would be a kind of hard day for me because of just all the things that we've, been teased about during the few years before that. And never having even spoken to each other was just, I knew it was going to be tough. But that day came and went. We had a good day. And at 19, I got baptized. And let's see, was it April? After I turned 19 in March, in April, I was baptized. And it was a start. It was a new start for me. I truly wanted to do what was right. And I truly appreciated what I was taught and everything. I didn't know anything else. And I did appreciate everything I was taught and just the life that I had. And being with the youth and everyone, I had so many friends. At the age of 18, I realized something. And that was, I was trying to fit into the wrong group of girls. And one day, I was talking to my oldest sister about this, and I just shared how tough it was that weekend. It was a particularly hard weekend for me, and I found out that a couple of the girls had come together, and I hadn't been invited. And while I don't hold a thing against these girls, I know it's okay. I share it with my sister, and she just looks at me and she goes, one thing that you have to realize is that you can never have too many friends. She said, you will have to reach out to other girls and you'll have to be a friend. If you want friends, you'll have to be a friend. And that really opened my eyes, because I then realized at the age of 18 that it was time that I step out and that I start being a friend to not just the ones that I was trying to fit in, but to everyone around me. And at the time we had around, it was right around a total of a little over 200 youth in our group. And so I became friends, honestly, by the time we were 21. We got married at 21. And I'm going to stop here when we get married, because it's going to take me way too long. So we'll just call this part 1. But at the time that we got married, planning for our wedding and everything, we had lots of good times planning. And of course, as everything goes, I know there's times that things don't go as we wish, and we wish things were different, and it was the same for me, but for the most part, everything was very enjoyable in planning. And I had a dream wedding for myself. Like, I can honestly say I think Mom and Dad did everything they could to have it exactly how we longed to have it. Like, just everything down to my colors and everything. And so in planning for our wedding, one thing that I wanted to bring out was, in planning for our wedding, we talked about, okay, so do we invite all the youth for the whole day, because there was so many? And we were like, well, you know what? There's never a wedding that all of them come anyway. Why not just invite all of them? Because we didn't know where to stop. Like, we had friends in every area of the youth group. So we were like, let's just invite all of them. And it was the total of all of them was a little over 200. And which was almost the size of as many people as we could sit down in our shop, because we only could sit so many people in our shop. So I think we had like 250 to 300 place settings in the shop. I think 250, something like that. And during the wedding day, it seemed like there weren't so many youth. There was quite a few for lunch already, but going up to supper, we were like, well, it doesn't seem like so many youth. Like, that's actually why we thought it's okay to invite all of them. And I remember sitting back at the bridal table, and the youth started coming in and tables start filling up. You guys, we almost got eaten up that evening. There was over 200 youth, and I think we counted up, and I think pretty much all of them came. And it just showed us who all of our friends were, and we so appreciated every single one of them because we love them all. And Willis was the same way with the boys. Like, he knew every one of them. I knew all of the girls. We just enjoyed them so much. And so I'm going to stop here at when we got married, and leave the next part for, I don't know, will I come on here again this week? I hope you all got sense out of this video, because I did not have any notes. I have never had notes for this YouTube channel. I've had a couple verses highlighted and stuff, but not actually that I've written things down before I did a video. So I hope you all got sense out of this. I hope you enjoy it, the first part of my testimony. And coming next time will be the first, I'm not sure how long for after we get married. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe, comment on my video. Yeah, I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate all the comments. We read every one of them. We reply to them, and we're so grateful. We thank you so much. So thank you for being here. Thank you for praying for us. Please always pray for us, because we definitely need the prayers. But thank you guys. Hope you have a wonderful time till I speak with you again.